Alright guys, HyDra here again. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Big developments last night with Dashy talking an awful lot about the current state of his own gameplay. TJHaLy has improved massively over the last couple of seasons, and many put that down to the fact that a couple of years ago he got laser eye surgery and it fixed any issues that he was having after some recovery time. He has now been back on true form. Dashy reveals that he might think that similar things are occurring for him right now, and with this whole discussion about sitting too close to a monitor, there was some big drama from JoeDeceives suggesting that back at the major there could have been some screen peak cheating going on. What do we think about this? Remember to enjoy your thoughts in a comment, hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, just from Paul actually came back and played in the Challengers tournament, if you guys aren't aware, because Mercury's there, of course, needed a replacement for him, and Paul's actually cooked. Like, they only played one series that was actually streamed, but he had a 1.25 in that series. Unfortunately, we didn't see that many games because Lurks is a really talented player on the Stallions. You know, Abe is good as well, obviously Major Maniac and Illy. Unfortunately, they only played one series that we got to see, but both Lurks and Illy got absolutely fried. So it doesn't really look great for them. The teams with the bigger sample size are really when you can start to look into some of the numbers a little bit more. And yeah, Afro, 1.22, F-Dot, 1.17. Players on that Team Notorious team that have been looking incredibly promising. And look, if Afro wasn't having, not visa issues, I mean, it will be that fundamentally, right? But it's more that if it wasn't an issue that visas needed to be acquired for a player like Afro, he would be back in the league. I rate Afro very highly, you guys know that. I believed in him on that Thieves team last year. It didn't work out, of course, but I think Afro now, I don't want to say he's more locked in than ever, but I think he's more locked in than ever. But at the end of the day, there's been lots of discussion recently, oh, well, why are these pro teams keep on recycling old washed up players? And, you know, I get it, right? Like, Falcons bringing in Arcetes and Priester is questionable and deserves some criticism if they don't really perform, especially with the likes of Mercury's available out there as it stands. But equally, Neptune had his chances before. He was on Florida, he was in the league, he was on the New York Subliners, and yet they've brought him back in, Surge, and that's a very commendable decision. So I think it goes both ways. It's not very clear to simply suggest that, oh, well, this guy was in the league before, therefore you shouldn't bring him in to sign a new guy. Look, there is more talent down there than these CDL teams have been exploiting. There is absolutely no doubt about that. But on occasion, there are players who might be considered like known quantities who you could bring back in and they could do a serious job. Like, Afro is insane at this game, and he absolutely loves the way that it plays. And also, just historically, he's just insane at tryout games. Like, Black Ops Cold War, Afro came in and was just absolutely godlike, and that's probably the best that he looked. So, like, if I'm a team and I can sign Afro, I mean, even F-Dot as well, he's been cooking too. Like, I'm doing it. Absolute no-brainer, but unfortunately, visas can sometimes get in the way. But we'll see what that means, because in the off-season or whatever coming soon, and if Notorious, of course, win the Challengers stuff, they might well be out there in Riyadh as well. That'd be real exciting to see if they do end up qualifying. This was the peak viewership of the tournament. Again, with whatever happened on the Championship Sunday and the Grand Finals and all this, it was OpTic versus Falcons that actually peaked. It was a big storyline, obviously, going into that one. That had 184,000 viewers. I mean, look, to be fair, the finals, Thieves versus Surge, not bad. 172,000. FaZe versus OpTic, 155,000 in the end in the losers bracket. So, look, not a banger in terms of overall viewership, but still not bad. I mean, it was down 8% compared to Major 2, and Major 2 was probably down about 10% compared to Major 1, something like that. So, you know, look, the peak and the average have dropped off a bit, but it's not, you know, for this point of the season, it's not bad. You know, I think COD still has some life left in the tank, to be honest. But intrigued to your thoughts, as always, in the comments below. I know that this was going around. People were saying, oh, you know, I can't believe the boys on Breaking Point are rage baiting like this. And I do get that, right? Because are Scrap and HyDra on the same level as Scump and Formal? No, not in terms of success and championships and anything like that. But in terms of a duo from an AR SMG perspective that is as dominant as Scump and Formal were, there is no duo in the league with a better chance of making that happen, right? I mean, even if you look at, like, Simp and Cellium, as it were, like, have they been as effective as a duo as Scump and Formal were at any point over the last few years? Not really. Certainly they weren't perceived in that way, because, you know, when Scump and Formal, T2P, Time to Powder, that was the name of their duo ship, right? Like that, those were the two best players on their team in the two respective roles. And frankly, the two best players in the world at their two respective roles. And the other guys on the team were kind of like the supporting cast. And that's why there's not really been anything like that for some time, because even if you look at the new FaZe team, you know, there's aBeZy there as well, there's Drazah there, or there's whoever else that they've had. It's not been so clear. Whereas this Thieves team, it is similar on some respects, right? Like, it is similar. I'm not saying that they're going to go on and achieve all the amazing things that the Dynasty achieved, but like, you know, it was meant to be a super team for a reason when you've got Scrap, in my opinion, best AR in the game, and you've got HyDra, in my opinion, best SMG in the game, together on the same team, and the other guys, you know, they know that they're there to help facilitate an amazing squad, right? Like Ghosty and Envoy are not going out there to drop 1.3s, and that's perfectly fine. And for those saying that this is outrageous, I mean, we should probably just have a quick look at the numbers here. In terms of KD, they're number 2, number 3. In terms of Slayer rating, number 1, number 2. BP rating, number 1, number 2. Hardpoint KD, number 1, number 4. Hardpoint kills per 10, number 1, number 2. Like, pretty much in all of these categories, one of these guys is at least on here or right at the top. And yeah, so pretty ridiculous. Intrigued to your thoughts on that as ever in the comments below, how far this duo can go, because I don't think they're planning to stop anytime soon. But let's talk about the way that the league currently sits. Going into Major 4, Thieves are topping the numbers, 410 points, FaZe at 390, then Ultra, then Surge. Ravens are bombing it down the list right now, and maybe they'll get overtaken by some more teams, but they're still going to be there at the World Championship, and really it's OpTic versus Rocket, you would think, for that final spot. I did want to say, because I mentioned this on stream last night and Turtle actually found the numbers for it, Thieves are ahead of FaZe in the standings, and I was wondering, like, at this point in the season, have FaZe ever not been first in the standings? And the answer is no. Out of 21 stages we've had in the CDL, so since Cold War, because MW19 didn't really count, it was online cheese, but also very different format. So we have had 21 stages, plus, you know, regular qualifiers, plus the major, 21 of those. FaZe have been leading in the standings after 18 of those 21 stages. Now, that is true, it used to be 18 of 20 before this stage. The only times they've not been leading a stage were MW3, when Ultra of course won the chip, so FaZe weren't first, and MW2, where Subliners won the chip, so FaZe weren't first. Every other year and stage, it's kind of remarkable to think about, no? That even last year, stage 1, Ultra won the first major. By the end of stage 2, FaZe were the number 1 team in the standings. And that's been the case every single year for the last 5 years. This is the first time that anyone has actually dethroned them at the top of the standings any time other than at the end of stage 1. So, look, it's an incredible period of dominance in FaZe. You know, we've called it the FaZe era for a good reason. But Thieves are the first team really ever to show that actually beating FaZe consistently and outperforming them is possible to do. Whether they can keep that up, that's another question. But let's talk about some of this drama, right? So JoeDeceives came out on stream, and I wanted to share this clip in a couple of seconds, talking about screen peeking. So the stages back at Major 3, usually they are slightly slanted with the, like, as I imagine, eyebrows, right? Like, kind of like that. So they're slightly slant down. The point of that being that they, you know, the teams are slightly facing away from one another so that you can't necessarily just look over at your opponent's monitor and see what's going on. Of course, the head-to-head stage where they're opposite each other, that prevents that entirely. But there was a bit of talk from JoeDeceives that when they're warming up for their game, it was possible if you just kind of leaned back and looked over to the right or to the left, whatever side you're on, you'd be able to see the monitor of at least the guy on the ends of the screen. That's potentially a pretty big issue, because in Search and Destroy, in a 1v1, all of the screens are the same. So, you know, I could just have a look back, quick little look over to the right-hand side, and I could tell my boy, yo, I think he's going to be behind you, right? And then he turns around and gets the gunfight win. Now, did this happen? I don't imagine that it did, but it was certainly a possibility, and it raised even more questions, right? Even as JoeDeceives says, from the likes of Super, because Super likes to sit real far away from his monitor. Now, look, Super, to be fair, Super's got 2 teammates between him and the other guy's screens, so I don't think there was anything in this, but the point is that it's not whether anyone did it or not. The point is that it was possible to do. And the fact that JoeDeceives is saying, well, that Super guy, like, it could have been possible, right, for them to be having a quick little check across the other side of the stage, and it's not really an environment that you would like to see. So, something to think about for the teams going forwards. I'll share that in a second. But speaking of Super sitting so far away from the monitor, it was a big talking point from Dashy last night on his eyesight. Now, Temp talked about this quite a lot on the OpTic show recently, but the theory goes anyway as to why TJ was pretty bad a couple of years ago and has turned his career around is that he got LASIK eye surgery. And after that, he's been able to lock in and see the screen better and all this. And okay, there could be risks and, you know, dangers and complications or whatever. And obviously make decisions at your own risk and well-being and, you know, go to the right people and all this, get the right consultations done to make sure it's all safe and good. But, you know, the point being that after TJ's eye surgery kind of healed and he was fixed up, the theory goes anyway that now he's cooking again. Whether you believe that or not is a question. But Dashy says, yeah, I feel like I'm sitting hella close to my monitor, and at first I thought it was a joke that my eyesight was deteriorating, but now I'm actually starting to believe it.
On the stage, they're literally right. Usually they have them slanted so you can't like look over and like see the guy's screen. They're at least like right next to like straight like they're lined up pretty much, right? And there was nothing to block, so when we were doing our IT, I was literally looking straight into fucking Cam's PC, like into a screen. I can see everything that's like on a screen.
Nice.
And like I said, there's nothing to fucking block it, so I can you can literally screen peek. I know we played fucking Super Round 1, I'm like, brother, that guy's gonna screen peek. You can literally see all our screens. They're all the way over here. Blood back, he's blood
worse, bro. How do you page to book me a fucking...
Yo, you know
bro, I wonder how bad yo your shit's
bro,
like
I'm actually tweaking because at first it was a joke, but now I'm like starting to believe it because like
wait, so
bro, you could tell me to read anything like from like a decent range and I'm gonna be like I can't even see, like I could barely see your ping right now because I'm like kind of leaning back in my chair and I was like, okay, it says 4.
did I ask?
Actually, well, your shit's not full screen.
No, I want to get. I want to get.
What about like when you see when you're like in game? Like, can you see like?
Like yeah, I could see me, but bro, I feel like it's at the cost of me sitting too close. Though, does that make sense? Like I don't want to have to sit how close I'm sitting. I feel like I'm getting more jump scares now.
Man, look at this spot.
ECFD.
Yeah.
Oh my, I have to lock in for this one. EDFDP.
Wait, what was the last 3?
DZP.
Wait, do it again, do it all again.
EDFCZP.
Yeah.
Other one's FeLo. Jesus, Tyler FeLo.
Yeah.
PZD.
Yeah.
Oh, this one is like where shit starts getting wicked.
Really?
What's the forfeit?
EF.
Yeah.
An F.
Yeah.
EOTEC.
Yeah. Very good.
The other one's LEF. ODPCT.
Yeah. Very good, bro.
The other one is FD. I could see it, but bro, it's not like, bro, it's still blurry as hell though. Like I have to lock the fuck in. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like nobody's really doing that.
So then Shotzzy and Dashy bring out the home eye test, right, and all this. And look, if Dashy's eyes aren't great, your eyes change as you age, it is what it is. He could get some glasses. Plenty of other players have got some glasses. Glasses, contact lenses, you know, or go the full yard and get eye surgery done. It's absolutely possible, right? So maybe that's the play for Dashy. Look, is it going to make a massive amount of difference to his gameplay? I mean, you'd think that it probably shouldn't if he takes the appropriate steps. But, you know, will he take the appropriate steps? I guess that's one of the questions right now that people are going to ask. And also on top of that, as we said, if this whole TJ thing is true, that actually it did improve things an awful lot, then maybe there's something more to this than meets the eye. But definitely intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below, right? I saw some people saying, oh, here we go again, you know, Dashy's got some other excuse or whatever. It's like, no, okay, come on, let's be serious here. Like, this is obviously an issue for him, but at the same time, you know, if he probably feels like he could resolve something, that might be a good idea as well. So intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. I think the more interesting piece of it for me was the whole JoeDeceives angle on whether there was any kind of dodgy activity going on down there at the major. And because if JoeDeceives noticed it, then I'm sure that others will have noticed it as well at some point during the weekends, whether they, you know, were talking about it as a player, as a team. Like, I like to believe in the competitive integrity of the players, that even if they were aware that they could do this thing, they might not do it. I mean, I also wonder what they'd have done if anyone, because I don't imagine they mentioned it to the league, because if they did, the league would have probably tried to do something to resolve it, but that tends to be the way that the league are on these things. But I don't know. I'd be fascinated to know whether the league heard about this or realized it was a problem, because it is one of the things that they should be, and usually are, pretty well aware of. But maybe on this weekend's they either couldn't find an appropriate solution, which maybe is true. I mean, it's kind of difficult to adjust the angle of everything overnight, I imagine, even if that was possible. Or whether there was any dodgy activities going down to the main stage. Would of course like to believe not, but intrigued to your thoughts on all of this stuff as always in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.